Hi, this is Lynn. I too have a story to tell, a story of the God of the impossible. But first, some background. Dad died in February. He'd been dead 4 months, and as a family, our world had come unhinged. I was now, by default, the man of the house. At 16, I had a mom and 3 sisters I felt responsible for. This family photo was one of the last taken before Dad passed. I was hired at our town newspaper primarily to do odd jobs during the summer, clean up, take the trash out, and clean lead plates. These were the days of the linotype machine, a machine that set type for newspapers. Lead plates were used for advertisements. A thin layer of sheet metal known as a positive was glued to the lead plate, and then the metal ad was set. It was my job to peel off the metal ads from the plates once they'd been used so that the lead could be remelted and used again for a new ad the following week. Well, to remove the thin metal, I soaked the lead plates in a pan of gasoline. One day, while sitting at a table soaking a stack of plates in 5 gallons of gasoline, I was lifting them one by one into the pan. Lead is heavy, and my hands were dripping wet with gas. I accidentally dropped one of the plates on the edge of the pan and dumped 5 gallons of gasoline on my clothing. I was wearing a pair of jeans and a white t-shirt. It did not ignite, then it happened. I reached for my chair to sit back down when I heard a loud shh behind me and turned around to see a blue flame running swiftly across the floor, wiggling like a snake, heading straight towards me. The gas had seeped along the floor and reached a hot water heater about 10 feet away. And when the gas on the floor came in contact with the pilot light, it ignited. Gas was everywhere, and I was soaked. The blue flame hit my pants leg, and I instantly realized I have got to get out of these clothes. I reached to pull off my t-shirt, and that was as far as I got. I went up like a torch and began running around the printing shop in a panic, screaming my lungs out, setting the place on fire. The fire had engulfed my face. I was running for the door, thinking, if I can get outside, I can outrun this. You completely lose it when you're swallowed, engulfed in flames. Fire consumes oxygen, so I wasn't getting any air. Finally, I collapsed about 10 feet from the door. Jack Finley, the foreman, beat the flames off my body. My clothes were almost entirely burned off, and I lay there on the floor with my eyes rolled back in my head. The ambulance came and rushed me to Phelps County Memorial Hospital, 29 miles away in Rolla, Missouri. When they wheeled me into the emergency room, 2 doctors were waiting. I lay there on the emergency table as they surrounded me, discussing doctor talk, which I didn't understand, and suddenly they walk out of the room, leaving me lying on the table suffering like you would not believe. I later found out, my mother told me, they were out in the hallway telling her, "Mrs. Ridenauer, we're sorry. There's nothing we can do. Your son will probably pass away within the next hour or so." A young doctor, 29 years old, just out of medical school, was on call and on his way to the hospital. The 2 elderly doctors were already there. Soon, Dr. Young arrives and begins arguing with the doctors outside the emergency room. "We can't let that young man lay in there and die," and he began working with me. 7.5 hours later, I leave the emergency room wrapped like an Egyptian mummy, holes cut where my eyes, nose, and mouth are. They wheel me up to room 217 and I pass out. I'm out for a month. Oh, they say I was in and out, but I don't remember. I suffered second and third degree burns over 70% of my body. Here I am in surgery. And please, forgive me if this picture offends your sensibilities. That's not my intent. Oh no. My intention is actually quite the opposite. To show God's miraculous healing power, especially to show our Father's incredible graciousness, His mercy, to allow me to live all these years. I was 16 when this happened. I'm now in my 70s. I would have missed so much. God so easily could have taken me home in my teenage years. I do remember coming to, not knowing where I was or why I couldn't move. I had forgotten what happened. I could only move my eyeballs, couldn't even wiggle my fingers. I stretched my eyeballs toward the clock placed on top of the mantel at the foot of the bed. It said 3 a.m. I knew I was dying. Don't ask me how I knew. I just knew. The angel of death had come in my room to get me. Lying there, unable to move, I screamed out, "Lord, I don't want to die." Nothing came out. I was screaming on the inside. There I was, a teenager, alone in the darkness, all by myself in a hospital room in Rolla, Missouri, dying. Then it happened. The room lit up like diamonds, the brightest light I'd ever seen. It was almost too bright for my eyes. And there he stood at the bottom of my bed. It was Jesus. No, I'm not dreaming. It's not a vision. I'm wide awake. And I'm just a backslidden Baptist teenager who had discovered basketball and girls. I had no idea God did these things, but He's in my room. Jesus doesn't say a word. He's standing at the foot of my bed looking at me, and I'm looking at Him. I roll my eyes to the left and look out the window. It's pitch black outside, but the room is dazzling white. Jesus slowly walks around to the side of my bed and places His hand ever so gently on my right shoulder. I physically feel His touch. The most intense peace I have ever experienced. There's no other word to describe it. Surges through my body and my soul. And from that moment on, I knew I would live. I would not die. And then He leaves. The bright light disappears, and the room turns dark. Dr. Young always made his early morning rounds about 6 a.m. I had fallen into a deep sleep. He walks in the room, and for some reason I awaken. I can still see him standing in the doorway. He takes one look at me, pauses, and says, "Something has happened." Yes, something did happen. Yes, I entered Rolla Memorial Hospital on June the 11th and walked out well during the month of August, 90-some days later. That's after having 70% of my body burned second and third degree. My case was written up in medical history. At that time, there were no burn units in hospitals. If you suffered from 40% second and third degree burns, it was 100% mortality rate. You died. I lived with 70% burns. Getting written up in medical history didn't matter much to me. I came away knowing for sure my name had been written in the Lamb's Book of Life. That's what really matters. There was one other miracle. I call it the real miracle that happened. One weekend, I was attending our 25th class high school reunion when one of my classmates came up to me and said, "Lynn, you're different." Of course I'm different. You can't see the risen, glorified Savior and not be. Something eternal, something wonderful, something life-changing happened at 3 o'clock in the morning when Jesus appeared in a hospital room to this 16-year-old. Oh, the presence of the Lord, His glorified, manifested presence. There's no earthly comparison, no words to describe it. As one brother put it, there's no high like the Most High. That's as close as I can get. He's higher than the highest mountain, sweeter than the finest honey, fresher than this morning's dew. His presence is like... I have run out of words.
I am addicted, absolutely a Jesus addict. While lying in the hospital in excruciating pain, nurses gave me morphine shots every 4 hours. Morphine at that time was the strongest narcotic drug available for patients to take away pain. Brothers and sisters, I have found something stronger, something better to take away pain. The intimacy of His presence. Yes, He removes a broken heart, wounded spirits, frightening futures, fear of death, fear of living, all of those feelings so real to this 16-year-old lying alone in that hospital room, having just lost his dad and having by default been assigned to be the man of the house. I had a mom and 3 sisters I'm now responsible for. The real miracle was that night when Jesus came into the room, He deposited in me an insatiable, unquenchable, again, I'm running out of adjectives, love for this man, the man from Galilee, the Son of Man, the Son of God. It's never left. Those feelings, this love fest, this romance with God. Jesus is my magnificent obsession. Years have come and gone, and as I pen these words, I feel like singing the words of the Shulamite in the Song of Songs. He looked upon me with His unrelenting love divine. Help me and hold me, for I am lovesick. I am longing for more. End of quote. Yes, I'm lovesick and longing for more. That is the real miracle. Linda and I both thank you for taking this journey with us, for allowing us to tell our stories of the God of the impossible. We love to tell what He's done for us. Should you be interested in Linda and I coming your way, contact us at htrails2@gmail.com or give our office a call at 573-480-8660. As I said, we love to tell our stories of the God of the impossible. And God bless you.